Hey there, my name is AJ Pickett and I make videos about role-playing games. I upload twice a week with a live stream every weekend. You can also find me on Subscribestar, Patreon and Discord, Facebook and Twitter. Also, there's an option to join the channel as a member and I welcome any questions you have in the comments section down below. As always, if you like this video or this channel, hit that like button and subscribe if you think my bookshelf deserves a silver play button. Thank you. It's already pretty cluttered, but I can make room. Today we are delving into a question that was brought up after we learned about the elder god Ghaunadaur, and the fact that, according to myth and legend, he lashed out with his mind in a fit of rage and drove countless species of the largest of slimes and other crawling creatures, many of which contained an alien intelligence, insane. Before that moment, many conversed with each other in a gibbering and bestial language, but after Ghaunadaur's rebuke, only a few species managed to maintain their mental faculties: the oblex, various shapeshifters, and the Ghaunadan. In their ooze form, Ghaunadans are a lurid green colour and ripple across any surface in a mass of writhing pseudopods. They have blindside out to 30 feet and are resistant to any bludgeoning damage. Plus, they have immunity to poison, sleep effects, paralysis, being polymorphed, or stunned. Their bodies have a paralytic slime coating their surface and can lash out with pseudopods each round. The victim must make a constitution save, DC 15, or be paralysed for 2d6 times 10 minutes. They get another saving throw at the start of each round. If they make the saving throw, they are not immune to further attacks with the paralytic slime, however. When cut in combat, the Ghaunadan body appears to bleed green slime, and the flesh inside the wound is also many different shades of translucent green. They also have the ability to absorb a weapon attack and then solidify their body around the weapon in an opposed dexterity contest. If the Ghaunadan wins, they get to keep the weapon. This is very much what the liquid metal Terminator robot did, in a similar fashion. Ghaunadans can also sneak into just about anywhere, flattened out and sneaking along any surface. They're not subject to critical hits and they can't be flanked by opponents. Their immunities apply in both humanoid and ooze form. So, in the Underdark, a Ghaunadan can easily feed on subterranean creatures, and their amorphous form is ideal for getting around in the natural cave networks, and also the dizzying amount of dungeons to be found. They are masters of relic hunting, as we will learn later. They have a strong reason for doing so. Their most impressive ability, though, is shapeshifting into a humanoid. They do this so well that I think it's important to first describe them as an ooze, because that is what they are. It is the form they feel most natural in. They think like an ooze, they feed and reproduce like one. But they can also shift into a humanoid form once per day, spending up to 15 hours in the humanoid form at a time. Each humanoid form is unique to that individual Ghaunadan. Regardless, the form is always pleasant or an attractive one, and the Ghaunadans prefer to wear clothing of copper, amber, flame orange, lavender and plum, which are also the favoured colours of clerics of Ghaunadaur. In their humanoid form, Ghaunadans can charm people simply by looking into their eyes, producing an effect similar to the friend spell that lasts as long as the Ghaunadan remains in sight in the humanoid form. Characters who meet the Ghaunadan's gaze must make a wisdom saving throw DC 15. Those who fail the saving throw regard the Ghaunadan as if its charisma were 2d4 points higher. So it's useless in combat, but allows the Ghaunadan to make excellent use of its charisma-based skills. They can charm and take out a town guard, steal the guard's uniform, breastplate and shield and spear, and they can maintain the cover of their humanoid form, even lashing out with a couple of parasitic pseudopods while humanoid. But they relax, hunt and feed in ooze form. Staying humanoid for long periods of time is taxing on them. They keep their numbers low, small family groups in areas where small game is rich, or individuals subsisting on the outskirts who make great trade as fur trappers and information traders. Smuggling is also a great trade for a Ghaunadan that can take to the spelljammer setting like a duck to water. Like humanoids keep pets, which the Ghaunadans find delicious and very convenient, the slime people keep other non-intelligent slimes and oozes around as their pets and tools. Ghaunadans know the nature of slimes and oozes so well they can predict how they're going to behave in any situation and can easily lead them around. Your average Ghaunadan has a vile, malicious kind of intelligence. Despite their humanoid illusion, these creatures are alien monsters. Their deeper thoughts revolve around their worship of Ghaunadaur, god of oozes, slimes and jellies. They usually speak Undercommon and Abyssal. Those who travel the surface world also learn the Common tongue. Groups of Ghaunadans can be found usually in areas where foes of Ghaunadaur, including other drow deities and most other deities associated with Underdark races, are active. There's several Ghaunadans lairing in Undermountain, the vast dungeon beneath Waterdeep. They also keep a watchful vigil over the Temple of Illustrae, near the subterranean city of Skullport, in that area. And recently, rumours have surfaced that Ghaunadans in human guise may be operating in Waterdeep itself. Well, I can assure you that they are. Ghaunadans, for the most part, have remained loyal to Ghaunadaur. They have been for hundreds of thousands of years, and they are one of the truly ancient species who have lairs and lost temples, artifacts, sacred sites, and deeply hidden locations where they gather along with others of ooze kind that are simply inaccessible to any other creatures who are not capable of assuming ooze form for long periods of time. I mean, try reaching a lair 3 miles beyond the deepest layers of the Underdark. That can only be reached via small cracks in solid rock that oozes can fit through, and the occasional flooded chamber and cavern full of poisonous gases. Not there's much to take away from these hidden temple cities in the deep, aside from profoundly disturbing mental and physical experiences. I'm sure some obsessed wizard has tried to find these places, having probed the alien mind of a Ghaunadan and discovering their existence. But Ghaunadans don't tend to rely heavily on physical devices, artifacts and monuments. They carve out strange chambers using acid to break down rock. In those twisted, convoluted structures they gather to merge their bodies and minds, babbling a telepathic chorus which has the same effect on a non-ooze as the noise produced by a gibbering mouther. But then again, squeezing through a few miles of cracks in hot rocks so far from the sun, I'd argue one would have to be pretty crazy to do that in the first place. What sort of long-term effect would staying polymorphed into an ooze form that long have on a humanoid brain anyway? I mean, spellcasters have very high intelligence scores, and with high intellect often comes plenty of other issues. Throw in polymorphing and dealing with strange dimensions and telepathy and so on. It's a wonder any wizards maintain their sanity. In the wizarding business, sanity is overrated anyway. Ghaunadaur is a god that plays havoc with our definitions of divine entities, and the line between primordial and greater god is very blurred for the elder eye. That which lurks, the lord of slime, greater god of abominations, the ancient one. In fact, Ghaunadaur is many things that are normally their own different category. So he is a greater god who is also a primordial. He is a distinct entity, but he is also the aspect of a greater being. He is connected to Duiblex or Jubilex and a host of other gods and elder evils and primordial beings, because they were all created by and from a greater god that is now removed from reality, locked away, and where possible, kept the most forbidden of secrets. To delve too deeply into the lore of Ghaunadaur is an invitation to insanity and the most severe and horrific punishment by some of the multiverse's most powerful beings. The lore is so well protected one can become a special kind of undead or aberration just by researching it the wrong way and alerting one of the powers which punishes such behaviour, or by stumbling into a curse tied into the very information itself. A fate as a Nothic or an Alip awaits many who travel down the rabbit hole of lore, their obsession often ruining the lives of everyone who knows and cares for them. I've talked about why cults and forbidden lore are relatively commonplace in D&D high fantasy worlds, where people can see wizards and clerics casting wondrous spells, giving them huge personal and political power. They want the same for themselves, but the path to faith or arcane study is a long, difficult, and often very restricted one, not open to anyone with simple ambition for personal power. And that is where devils and demons and strange powers and warlocks and forbidden knowledge, written by corrupt civilizations of the ancient times, comes into play. All too often, adventurers have to deal with some horrific monster who was once a simple homesteader who turned to the easy path to power offered by some voice speaking to him from a weird crystal he found in a cave nearby. But only after his livestock were stolen, his children attacked, and yet another bad winter where they ran out of food and had to turn to banditry just to survive. The path to easy power is certainly one that Ghaunadaur has seeded heavily into the D&D worlds, and the consequences of falling into his traps usually leads to disaster. Ghaunadaur never really gets tired of watching giant monsters rampaging through cities, consuming vast amounts of victims and so on. He also greatly enjoys watching mutant predators hunt and kill innocent people and creatures. So you can be sure that the path to power he offers is going to have some very fast and real benefits, but these will inevitably lead to some sort of ritual of summoning or personal transformation or means of communing with a higher power that sees that person releasing a trapped demon or turning into a hideous beast, or becoming the pawn of an elder evil that possesses or mutates the person and steps into the D&D world through that living host. Ghaunadaur likes to put the chaos into his evil. He doesn't care what the consequences are, he just wants to watch the freak show that is the end result. He doesn't care who gains power and what they do with it. He just waits patiently for that power to corrupt and destroy, because it always does, it always has, and it always will. Worshippers come and go. He enjoys the additional power that comes with them, but also he hates being restricted and controlled by their faith. So he is one god that is not going to hesitate to destroy his own faithful, as we saw Ghaunadaur do when his offer to take alliance with the goddess Lolth was rejected by the demon queen of spiders and the drow elves. Despite tearing the intellect out of almost all of his slimes and ooze worshippers at that time, many remained. The Gaunadan are found thinly populating the world of Toril, but if you add together the small populations across all worlds and all the dimensions of the multiverse, the amount of time these small groups have been around, the potential for Ghaunadaur to spring back to greater godhood status at any time becomes more and more obvious. He is basically in a period of low activity, of low interest in the world of Toril. His attention may be concentrated on other worlds and other multiverses. He may be strengthening another aspect as a demon lord to take over a layer of the abyss. Who knows? He's got his fingers in many pies. The Ghaunadaun are devoted to him at any rate, willing and ready to do anything, no matter how weird or how perplexing, because they have survived and they are 100% certain that Ghaunadaur will always be around, that the eternal nature of their god lends them some sort of racial immortality as well. With their own personal lack of defined form, their perception of individuality is different from the fixed forms and fixed boundaries of other humanoids. They gather together and meld into big soupy messes in the worship of the Elder Ire in a way that becomes part of his body and mind. They lose themselves in the ecstasy of this obscene amorphous orgy. Ghaunadans may be able to move freely in humanoid society. They may put on the perfect act of becoming humanoid with the same sort of values and such. They can have personality, a sense of humour, goals and ideals that they seem to be most committed to. But beneath that skin-deep disguise, they are predatory globs of ooze, willingly, happily devoted to a source of terrible and ancient evil, who at any moment can switch off that feigned role that they've taken in humanoid form and give anything and everything they have, including their own life, at the beck and call of Ghaunadaur. And often enough, also at the beck and call of Joyblex and a few other powers that tend to share their master's true voice, the voice of Tharizdun. So are the Ghaunadans aware that they are really pawns of Tharizdun, the chained god, and that their efforts to uncover, restore and exalt forgotten shrines and relics in his honour are just part of the commandments all devotees of the chained god must follow? Perhaps they are. They are certainly only happy to siphon off power from any sources they can feed back into their god. In doing so, this also gives them great personal power and enjoyment. They like the fell powers that spawned them. They really do enjoy ruining and razing cities. They love undermining and sowing chaos into civilizations and patiently infiltrating bastions of order and law so they can destroy them from within, revealing their true nature to the profound horror of those who thought they were their allies. They dig it. It's some grade A evil genius stuff, and they crave that sort of thing like it's a drug of choice. It's the only show worth watching in town. If you're looking for the perfect mid-level, completely unredeemable evil bad guy for your campaign, you really don't need to look much further than the Ghaunadan. Team them up with other shapeshifters to build something of a secret society or a secret war going on between the shapeshifters and the amorphs, neither of which are a very good group, but they are sure to hate each other. There are limitless seeds for adventure and lots of side quests and main plot elements that can be introduced into your world setting and campaign very easily. Just keep in mind, it is one thing to put evil stuff in your game, and it's always very tempting as the DM to dial it up to 11. But it is a different experience to have to deal with that in character, your imagination immersed into the game. So be sure to check with your players before throwing in orphanages run by evil Ghaunadans that grind the kids up and feed them to oozes in the basement. You need the consensus of the players before you go grinding up orphans, and if you don't think you do, then you're going to run into serious problems outside of the game. That I can assure you. Ghaunadaur, Dublix and other powers being aspects of Tharizdun that were more or less cut off from him but maintained their existence even after Tharizdun was chained up, locked away in whatever passes for the most secure prison imaginable in your campaign setting, is very much one of the themes of this D&D lore channel. It is, however, entirely optional. You don't have to include Tharizdun at all, nor does there have to be any connection between Dublix, Obyxob, Ghaunadaur, the Lady of Pain, Pale Knight, and so on. Mine is just one way of creating a unified theory of the D&D multiverse. It's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's perfectly fine, but for those of you who like that sort of thing, the Ghaunadans are a great link into all of that and the horrors that it contains. I'm currently running a Kickstarter. Link to that is down below, and I very much need your help to make sure it is a success. If you enjoy watching my videos, but you're not a person who enjoys or is currently playing any D&D, please post a link to my Kickstarter on your social media of choice. I am really struggling to get the word out, and that will be a tremendous help to me. And those who choose to back the project and want to see their awesome game gear delivered, remember you only get charged for your pledge if the Kickstarter campaign reaches its funding goal, which is quite high, but it's also only 2,000 backers, which is not that unreasonable, I think. You don't have to order any products. You can back the project just as a sort of a tip for the hours of D&D content. That is also hugely appreciated, and by doing that you can show your support on social media and get the word out in the process. So, win-win. As for the products on offer, I've had a few questions about them. The basic pledge includes a large tough canvas bag that will fit a laptop, all your D&D books, your silicone game mat, plus silicone character sheet and combat tracker. It's also got a pocket for dice and marker pens. Yes, you can use pretty much any marker pen on the silicone mats. Yes, they will just wipe off with a good scrub from a damp cloth. However, avoid using red permanent marker pens, and do test out pens like that on the corner of the mat beforehand to see if it leaves a pigment stain. So far, testing has only shown an issue with red permanent marker pens, and I got the stain down to being very faint, but over years of use this could be a problem, so that's my warning to you. Yes, the mats can be used for any gaming system. The character sheet and combat tracker are generic. They were not designed just for D&D. They can be used for all sorts of role-playing games. You can also use the large game mat to replace any traditional board game playing area, and I imagine in future, if things go very well, we might see wider uses for silicone mats, such as the game surface for the Tilt 5 augmented reality glasses and wands. Who knows? I've had a few questions about shipping costs and such. Shipping is a real calculation provided by the people in China who will be mailing out all the parcels directly to backers. If there is too much shipping charged on the pledge, this will be refunded, particularly in the case of backers adding extra large silicone mats to their base pledge. It's just to ensure that sufficient shipping funds are available when we need to go. Because as soon as the funding goal is hit, we start manufacturing the bags and mats and start shipping them out to backers. Everything is ready to go. The factory is literally set up and standing by for your orders. So, just to repeat and make that clear, backers only get charged for the actual shipping cost. Any extra is refunded to the account they paid from. This will happen at the rewards survey stage when the project is fully funded. I know there is a lot of people who have already decided to back the project who have never backed a Kickstarter before. At present, it is about 30% of you. That is amazing, and thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions you have in the comment section down below this video. So, the best gaming surface you can get, good for a lifetime of play, also doubles as an oven baking tray, can handle permanent marker pens, including fine tip marker pens, cheaper than anything you can get right now and far superior quality, helping to support me, environmentally friendly product with minimum carbon cost, be the envy of your gaming friends. Alright, that's all from me. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Next up, we'll be taking a journey to the plains of Pandemonium, due to popular request. Thanks to all who voted in the community tab survey. Until next time, check out my spring store for other merch. Wear your geek with pride as always. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back with more for you very soon.